Hello, everyone, and welcome. And thank you so much for joining me this evening for the webinar. I'm going to get right into the shame gap. There's this consistent pattern that shows up across industries, countries, and career levels. There was an interesting study conducted by Harvard and University of Chicago, and the researchers found that that was quite striking. When salary negotiability is not clearly stated on the job description, men are more likely to negotiate as compared to women. But when negotiation is stated, the comparison came out as equivalent, which means that when salary negotiation is explicitly encouraged, there is no gap between men and women, both of them negotiating it and getting what they want. And it raised a question which made us think that what is the difference between these two genders? Is it their ability? It's not their ability to negotiate. It's not about their intelligence and not at all about their performance. What it really is about the context and the complexity and the psychology behind it. And one of the very uncomfortable truth that came out of this from this study was that we as a woman should really kind of think about it that if we are effective when we are negotiating, then why are we less likely to negotiate for what we think that we deserve or that we are entitled for? And I want to take you a little bit more deeper. I want you to walk with me because there is a data. It was a behavioral finding data that was then replicated across multiple industries and sectors and corporate data sheets used it. And it showed that men tend to apply for a job even when they're roughly about 60% ready. But in contrast, women, they only apply when they are almost 100% ready or meet the criteria requirement of the job. This observation was done through hiring research or recruitment analytics, and it was done across various industries. So, what it really does, it calls us for us to look at this concept or notion that we carry that there is a confidence problem in women. And before I get a little bit more deeper into why I think it's not a confidence problem, is that there is another data that I want to share. All of us use LinkedIn. And in LinkedIn, it was found that they were doing this hiring data collection, and they found out that women actually apply for fewer jobs. But when they do apply, they are often equally or more qualified than men. So here it raises a question that it seems it's not the competence or the confidence that we believe it is. The problem is basically in self-permission. And the gap between the capability and the action, the capability of a woman and the action that she takes, is where her career quietly stalls. So I'm not saying that women are sitting back because they lack ambition, and neither should we take that notion. Many of us are waiting, not because we are not ambitious or, like we don't have confidence. It is more about waiting because the shame has taught us that being wrong is going to be very costly. That putting yourself forward before you are perfect is way too risky. And other thing that I've noticed and witnessed is that we always perceive or often perceive that visibility comes with consequences. And over time, this becomes our conditioning. And this then becomes our professional behavior. So the question here is that how is it impacting? And I'm going to ground it in the pay reality. So we all know that across the globe, women are paid significantly less as compared to their counterpart. Uh, there were studies that were done in European workforce and in Europe, and the data they collected showed that women executives can earn about 16% less than men. And that is even if they are in a leadership positions or in sectors where they have more experience, in the role they have more experience. And then it also showed that In high income countries where there is high income generation, the gender pay gap between men and women sits between 10 to 20%. And this all is depending on the industry and seniority. But what really matters is for us as an individual and as women is to understand that this gap is not only created in a hiring process when we say, oh, we're not getting hired because we don't get equal opportunity, uh, or it's basically in your negotiation method, in my negotiation method, and the moments. It also starts showing up in who's speaking first and who's staying silent, who's getting promoted. Something I want to share also is that I will start with money. All of us love money, so does the shame. Shame loves money, and shame would live silently around money, and it loves the silence we as a woman create around money. I'll share a statistic with you, and this statistic really stopped me cold because I was shocked. And I have done it myself too. The researchers, when they were analyzing job search behavior, they found that women's salary expectations were already 9.5% lower than the men. That was right before they even walked in for interview or they were given any offer, or even if they had started negotiating, even before that, before any number was set for their salary. And that is because um, I want you to think really hard about this because women literally undervalue themselves before the conversation even starts. If we look at this data, uh, by the time many women walk into negotiation, they've already done the other side's job and made it really easy for them to undervalue her, undervalue herself. And all this over time turns into a cost that keeps compounding. How does this compounding happen? So I'll give you an example. When men is changing a job, their median salary will usually increase about 10%. But when woman decides to change a job, or move to another job, uh, her increase comes at 5%. That's half of the men increment that they have. So it's not because men are better negotiators. It's just that whisper of the shame. And you know how it appears, and it has happened to me, so I can tell you. The shame whispers to us through phrases like, be grateful, don't be greedy, don't make this awkward for yourself. What will they think if you put a number? What if I don't get it? Or what if they decided to go with someone else? And I want you to review because with me, really genuinely think about it and review it because often we say that there is a gender pay gap, or we say there is a leadership gap. We say women are not getting equal opportunity. There is a gap there. We are less represented, and we see that gap. But underneath all of these gaps, though they exist, genuinely exist, there is another level of gap or another category of gap that exists, and that is called quieter gap, which I call the shame gap. Why am I calling it the shame gap? Because the space between what women achieve externally and what they feel entitled to claim internally. There is a gap, a huge gap in there. And we believe that, oh, I don't deserve it. I'm not ready. And we shape it in that. And that shame doesn't come to you as dramatic. It's not dramatic. It doesn't create chaos. It's very soft. It's a whisper. It will be something like a very responsible whisper that would say, stay professional, be reasonable. And you will often say, oh, be grateful for you being here, getting this opportunity. Don't ask for too much. Or often it will come up like this that, you have to prove yourself first to even consider yourself entitled. And, uh, you know, let's not make things uncomfortable for others. So over time, this whisper that is so soft, that is so kind and considerate, and wraps itself up, this message, at some certain point in your life and my life, it starts it stops to exist. It doesn't sound like external anymore, I should say. It stops to exist as external. It sounds more like your own thoughts. As I said earlier, that men apply when they're ready 60%, but woman tends to wait for 100% or almost there. And we often associate that we need more confidence before we feel that we are ready to take on the position. But in reality, that's not how it is. Women are waiting because shame has taught us that being wrong is catastrophic. That being visible before being perfect is very dangerous. And that we will be judged more harshly than men in the room. And honestly, all this that I'm saying is backed by data. And so, question comes is, why is that? And I will tell you one thing, that men get promoted not because they have skills. We don't lack skills. In reality, we lack permission. This lack of permission, which is the hardest part. Permission doesn't arrive from outside. We don't need permission from outside. At some point, you have to decide, um, am I ready enough? Uh, and if you decide that I'm ready enough, then the second thing you should tell yourself is, I'm ready enough, and I will learn the rest on the way. And to make it more concrete, because in the daily grind, unintentionally, and I apologize all the time too, so I'm working on that, but unintentionally, we keep apologizing before asking a question or before, uh, you know, uh, giving our opinion, we start softening it. And by the time we realize in a meeting, we literally have said sorry 3 times, literally, right? By the time we realize, and it's unintentional, but 3 times we have apologized. And, you know, there was also that survey done was workplace communication where they were saying that women apologize more. And when they did the survey, why women apologize more, the reason people thought would be insecurity, but actually it was we apologize more because we anticipate a backlash. We have this fear that we will come out more aggressive, or this fear of being labeled difficult. So there is this fear of social punishment that is often sent for women when they speak directly. So men often apologize to repair mistake, but women often apologize to reduce the friction. And that is before they have even done anything wrong. So one thing that I want you to really focus on and that I want to leave you with is that when you hesitate or when you soften your opinion or your ask or when you wait until you feel ready, first thing you should focus on is it actually you speaking? Is it you? Or is it the conditioning around you? Because this conditioning could be from your parents who taught you that good girls don't ask for anything, or maybe it's from the workplace where you've seen that speaking up gets punished, or it could be from the years of workforce watching women being shrunk while men take a space. So ask yourself, where is this? Is this you, or is it the conditioning around you? And then I want you to shift your mindset. So I'm not going to leave you with any positive thinking or overhaul or steps, but one question that I recommend to all my clients is that whenever, whenever, you're going to, let's say, ask, if you're going to ask for a raise, or if you're applying for a role, or if you're speaking in the meeting, uh, just ask one question. Pause for 3 seconds and just ask, if I were a man with my exact same resume and result, would I hesitate to do this? And if the answer is no, and I guarantee you most of the time it is no, then the hesitation is probably not the truth. So it's your conditioning. So what I want you to do is do not wait to be fully ready. Start taking risk, start anticipating the unknown, and start asking, if I were a man with the exact same resume and results, would I hesitate to do this? And I guarantee you, you would say, no, I wouldn't. So that's why you shouldn't. You shouldn't wait for permission. I hope I left you with some thoughts and insights, and I look forward to see you guys in the next presentation. Thank you.